"It's only 3 weeks, you'll hardly notice we're gone," my parents said while packing for Europe with my sister. By the third day, they realized what my absence truly meant. "You'll be fine on your own," my parents said casually, pulling their matching leather suitcases toward the front door. Their voices were so light, so effortless, that it didn't even register at first. It was one of those throwaway phrases adults use without thinking, like telling someone to drive safe or have a good day. Except this wasn't a casual errand. This was a 3-week trip to Europe, a vacation they'd been planning for months, taking my sister Lauren along, and leaving me behind. And they weren't talking to anyone else but me. It was barely 6 a.m. I still had sleep in my eyes, wearing the same navy hoodie from the night before, and I'd only come downstairs to help with their bags. My hair was uncombed, my face unwashed. I hadn't even brushed my teeth yet. I stood in the entryway, shifting my weight from one foot to the other. My mother was reciting her mental checklist, passports, tickets, currency, chargers, while my father double-checked the taxi reservation on his phone. Neither looked up. I thought maybe there'd be a real goodbye before they left. A hug? A thank you for helping? Some acknowledgement that I was being excluded from yet another family milestone? Instead, all I got was that casual dismissal. "You'll be fine on your own." Like I was some houseplant that just needed watering once a week. Lauren appeared at the top of the stairs, her wheeled suitcase bumping rhythmically against each step as she descended. She beamed beside my parents, her passport already in hand, her nails freshly done, undoubtedly paid for with one of my parents' "you deserve it" gifts. Her hair was perfectly styled despite the early hour, blonde waves falling over the shoulders of her new travel jacket. They looked like a matching set, the three of them. Coordinated luggage, new jackets with subtle designer labels at the cuffs, that unmistakable glow of excitement they always seemed to share when they were together. I must have looked like I'd wandered into someone else's family photo, rumpled, tired, an afterthought. "We'll send postcards," Lauren offered, not meeting my eyes. Her own were bright with anticipation. "And I'll get you something nice." I nodded, said nothing, and watched them leave, my mother calling a final reminder over her shoulder, "Don't forget to water the plants in the sunroom." As the door shut behind them, the silence of the house wrapped around me like a heavy coat. Too familiar. Too tight. I stood in the middle of the hallway for a long while, surrounded by the quiet that always followed their departures. That's the thing about being the quiet one in a family of noisemakers. People assume you don't mind the silence. But sometimes the silence is the wound itself. I walked to the kitchen window and watched the taxi pull away from the curb. Something about the way my parents had delivered the casual brush-off settled in my bones and stayed there, a cold weight that wouldn't budge. It wasn't new, this feeling of being an afterthought, but somehow, this time felt different. More final. All my life, I'd been the one who didn't ask for much. The one who handled things. I never complained. Never got into trouble. While Lauren, well, she got all the oxygen in every room she entered. Every graduation, every recital, every dinner table conversation, she was the headline, I was the footnote. She was the princess, I was the guard at the door. But guards get tired too. And in that moment, something inside me didn't just snap, it shifted. A tectonic movement, slow but irreversible. I finished my cold coffee, walked upstairs, and opened my closet door. I pulled out the battered suitcase I'd had since high school, not the matching set they'd bought Lauren for her 18th birthday, and placed it on my bed. I didn't know exactly where I was going, but I suddenly knew with perfect clarity that I wouldn't be here when they returned. That was day one. And it was only just beginning. Packing didn't take long. When you've spent your life not taking up too much space, you don't leave much of a trail. Everything I truly cared about fit into 2 cardboard boxes, a duffel bag, and that old suitcase. I moved methodically through my room, selecting only what felt unmistakably mine. Not gifts purchased with obligatory attention. Not hand-me-downs. Just things I had chosen for myself, with my own money, reflecting my own taste. There wasn't much. The framed photograph of my grandfather and me fishing when I was 10. He was the only one who ever seemed to see me clearly. Books I'd bought with my own paychecks from the bookstore job I'd held through college. The quilt my grandmother had made specially for me before she died, the one family heirloom that had come to me instead of Lauren. My laptop. My small collection of vinyl records. 3 plants I had nursed from cuttings. I left behind the expensive watch my parents had given me for graduation, 3 months after they'd forgotten my actual ceremony. I left the designer clothes my mother occasionally bought me when guilt prompted momentary attention. I left the gaming system my father had purchased when he briefly thought we should bond over shared hobbies, only to lose interest 2 weeks later. I didn't write a note. Didn't leave an explanation. I didn't even call my boss to say I wouldn't be coming in on Monday.